Okay, so hi everyone. Thank you for those of you who are attending for the first time, and thanks to everyone who's coming back. I want to announce, Habib, are you here? Are you on? I saw Habib joining, but anyway, I want to announce that this is our 1 year anniversary of Third Thursdays. Thanks to Heather and Habib, who started Third Thursdays, and we're the first presenters, right? Yeah, that was all the way back. Uh, what 30 days before the shutdown?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, when we were all in person. And one of the nice things to happen because we are virtual now is that we've grown our audience thanks to all of you, and we have people coming in from all over the place. And I'm getting a message about my kids' school right now over the phone. Hold on.
Is it canceled tomorrow?
Oh, they're probably remote. They're probably
No.
remote. There we
Yeah,
go.
I
I
guess
just
it won't
took my
anymore.
phone apart. So yes, that this we're in a remote world. But anyway, thank you all, and thank you for coming. And I'm going to hand it over to Heather and possibly Habib. Habib's having some technical difficulties, so I'll apologize for him for not being here. All right, take it away, Heather.
All right. So thanks for being here first and foremost. I love seeing faces month after month. We're building a really awesome community here. I'm really happy that we've been able to withstand a whole year of going through COVID and being able to bring together this third Thursdays event for you. We started a year ago to build the photography community here in Trenton, New Jersey, and empower our local photographers through inspiring each other with different artist talks. So every month we have two different artists, each of which present their work and discuss their processes for 20 minutes each. We have two amazing photographers with us today, Zakiyyah and Shamir. So they'll both be presenting their work. And then every month we also do a Q&A at the very end. So while you're watching their presentations tonight, if you could think of questions, type them into the chat box. Michael will be kind of asking the questions of them and bringing us through that. So that's our event for tonight. And then I want to introduce you a little bit to Shamir and Zakiyyah. Shamir will be going first. He is a fine art portrait photographer who focuses on creating really like surreal and fantasy based portraits. They're absolutely beautiful. So I can't wait to hear more about his process. And Zakiyyah is a Brooklyn based street and documentary photographer who focuses in a really compassionate way telling the story of her community. So we've got two awesome photographers. Shamir, I know you're going first. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, I'm ready to go.
All right, awesome.
How y'all doing? I'm Shamir. Um, Shamir Racine. If you know me, you probably know that I probably go by like 100 different aliases. I'm a Gemini, so they probably like match every single one of my personalities. But I started. I'm an artist first and foremost. I was doing art for like as my whole life, but photography was actually one of the mediums that I really struggled with. Actually, I was really good at painting. I was really good at sculpting. I was really good at drawing. Photography is something that I just couldn't get down with. I just couldn't get like everything I shot. I just hated. Um, I was shooting with just a simple point and shoot Kodak, and it wasn't until maybe 2014 I quit my job and I bought myself a Canon Rebel T3, and that was my mission. Then on, like, I sort of just paused on all other art forms and I just focused on photography. And I have not put down my camera since. Um, so this has just been a journey into my work. I could just give you guys different phases of my art. Um, so I am going to start. If I could expand this. So when I started photography, I started I started exploring areas. I started in what's called Uber X, going to abandoned places. Um, there was a real strong culture about it in like late 2014, 2015. Um, there's probably still a strong culture into it now, but once you get out of these circles, you sort of really like lose, uh, connections to that. So we would just go to abandoned places throughout Philly, New York, um, Trenton, especially because Trenton is also a space that is filled with abandoned spaces. So this was actually a space in Philadelphia. This was actually an elementary school. It was huge. Um, every room in it was filled with graffiti, and some of the graffiti, like this one in blue in the corner, was something that I would see consistently in abandoned places. So like this is one of the reasons why I took this image, but and also just reminded me of the culture of it as well. But this was also at the same place. The school itself, had a basketball court on top of the roof. Uh, it was just something to see, and it was amazing that it just sat in the middle of the city, and like it just grew. The fact that how it had art all around it. This was also inside of the school. Um, yeah, I was just taking pictures in different classrooms as far as this, but I would also explore places here in Ewing. If anybody's familiar with the area, this is a factory that's right past Marazzo's, right under a bridge, and they have a good 8 abandoned buildings. And to me, it was just opportunity to shoot. Again, when I started getting into photography, wasn't really focused on subjects. I was really focused on just going out and shooting. Um, I was experimenting with lenses. This is when I got my um, first prime 50 millimeter. So I was just anxious to just shoot, and I would just go off into different places and explore. Um, this spot was pretty high up, so I really like this picture for how subtle it is, but like it just couldn't explain where this is and like the chaos it took just to get to this one spot. Um, this was abandoned spot on Taylor Street out in South Trenton. Um, the beams there had melted, and it just created a sort of a web. Um, and this is one of my favorite shots, actually. Uh, as you can see, even then I was young, so like I was definitely still shooting in JPEG. I didn't even think about shooting in RAW. I could only imagine what the images would look like if it was in RAW. But this is this is sadly the not sadly, the spot is gone. It's been cleaned up, but like to me, this shows like beauty and destruction. It's weird going there and just being in a spot that's completely abandoned and capturing the art that's there. And this is also the last spot from that abandoned place on Taylor Street. Again, just I was just really captured by abandoned what we call bandos. And, I was really just fascinated by just the emptiness in the middle of cities, the space that could be used, the possibilities, and then just the fact that life still moves in it, in the art. Um, from then, I sort of moved beyond that. I started getting into portraits, mainly just because going into these abandoned places would get me in trouble with the police a lot. And that was just, yeah, I had to get past that. Um, I really wanted to create, but I also wanted to focus in on something. So like I started focusing on people, um, faces, and creating just capturing people. And that's when I started moving into like portrait photography. This is a friend of mine in Tunisia. I just wanted to go real simplistic. I was always thinking about colors. So I wanted, um, real earthy tones. And this was just a hedge out in Lawrenceville that I just captured my eye just because of how green it was. And I just thought Tanisha, who is here modeling for me, and her beautiful black skin would look amazing against that green. Um, so then that was just my focus, capturing portraits. Um, and again, thinking about patterns and colors, um, and just mixing that into skin tones. This was my experimenting into portrait photography. Again, I had no prior experience in portrait photography. So again, was very dedicated to color as well as incorporating the town. I always went to shoot within the city. This is a spot downtown, Trenton. Um, again, looking for colors because they're out there, especially in the city. Um, and that was always the focus. So just matching people with colors and capturing faces. Again, very much within the city. If you're down in Mill Hill Park, you know, it was this is Roz again. She's from Trenton. I'm pretty sure everybody has seen her face at least once or twice out here. She's very charismatic. But the focus again, I was meeting different people. I think that's what this really opened me up to as well. When it came to the Uber X photography, it sort of trapped me into like an underground world. So the people that I met, I couldn't even take pictures of them. They preferred that I didn't. But when it came to portrait photography, this expanded it to people that I've never came across. To this day, I haven't really worked with professional models and everything. So these are just, again, people from the city, people from the town that I've captured. Um, this was on a photo walk done by Bola. He was fundamental in my learning of photography. He was the one who introduced me to UberX photography. He does events in Trenton all the time, and this was one of his events uh, called the Photo Walk, getting photographers and people who just wanted to get in front of the camera. And this is just one of my favorite photos because, like, these are new faces to me. This was also on that photo walk as well. To this day, this is still one of my favorite shots. Um, it was in an alleyway. To this day, I can't get in the alleyway. They've closed it off, but it's right downtown. Um, it was just something about how the light just stuck in there, and the wind was, being funneled in. Uh, I just grabbed the closest person by me and wanted them to play off of the walls. Um, and that while I played off of the shadow and the light. This was, yeah, it's still one of my favorite shots. Um, this is sort of where I started getting themed with my photography. I was still very much interested in capturing just regular people doing regular shit, but I definitely started wanting to get into a vibe. So I I got some people together. Front and center is Jada Lewis. She's an artist from out here as well. She is crucial to my art. You're going to see her face many times. But this was very much in the sense of like a fun Black girl magic out having I don't know, like a Jeep commercial. That was my mind, and I just wanted to put that in fun colors and Black faces under a cool blue. And this came exactly how I wanted it to do. Yeah, this is starting where I started thinking about themes. Um, very much in the same sense here. Um, I almost wanted it to look like an ad commercial. And yeah, I still feel like I pulled that off. So that was just my focus when I created this. Um, this was down in Mill Hill. Uh, her name is Dahlia. She's actually a photographer and a model out here as well. Um, this, again, was one of the times where I was going in between work, and focusing on photography was becoming a real challenge. So it it became just meeting people in random places in the park. Um, this one not so much focused on color or anything of the sort of that, but just capturing people outside. Um, I never really considered myself a street photographer. This is the closest I've come to just regular street photography. But uh, this is Richie. And again, this is me dabbling back into uh, abandoned places. When it came to Richie, he was very much a photographer I met in going through abandoned places, hitting up these bandos. Um, so when I went to shoot with him, it was sort of like going back to that life. Uh, I wanted it to match Richie and the personality he had. So we went back to bandos, and yeah, Feel Good Factory. These are some of my favorite shots that I'm showing you guys. Some of these shots I don't think anybody's ever seen. I don't even have up posted anywhere. Again, really simple. This is when I actually first started into getting into lighting. You could see that this process is I'm very much self-taught. This is when I first started getting into lighting, um, trying to split lighting, trying to uh, understand where my key light is, where my main light is. And her name is Allie. She was very pivotal in the beginning of my photography because I needed faces and I needed to experiment. And not everybody's eager to get in front of the camera. So I am very appreciative to Allie. If you know her, give her love. Now, this is one of my best friends, Nas. Um, and he is very much someone who has been able to experiment with me when it comes to photography because, again, going into these bandos, going into these abandoned places, you risk getting caught by police, you risk getting hurt or cut, which I believe he was during this. But if you know this place, this is what was called the patio extension. It was like sitting in the middle of North Olden. Uh, it was someplace, again, when I was getting into abandoned photography, I always wanted to shoot in there just because like I never knew what was in there. It was a store that was always open, but like no one ever went. It was sort of like a joke if you're from this area. Um, so seeing it get shut down, seeing it getting demolished, I had to take these pictures before I left. Um, so yeah, this is when I still very much in the sense of just capturing faces. This is out by George Washington crossing the hill. Um, there's a pathway right between the water. Tasha here, she's a dancer. I wanted to capture something really out in the open. Um, I told her to bring earthy tones because I knew we were going to be out in nature. And this shot, as well as this shot here, was one of my favorites from it. Just capturing her out here, her hair moving with the trees and everything. This is, yeah, again, one of my favorite shots here. And as I also started doing photography and then trying to incorporate the city and the town, um, I started looking into like shooting into just regular spots that people would notice. This is a Chinese spot on Hermitage. You could probably tell by the bulletproof glass in the background. But yeah, this is, I wanted to show art in places that people really do not think to find art. I was definitely thinking that trying to match him up to the menu up top. He has his jacket on. I was definitely trying to match him up to the menu up top. I was very much still thinking about colors here. Purples, blacks, blues. I actually caught him again in the laundromat right next over. And again, you could tell I'm still very much thinking about colors and patterns. Uh, and just in random places as well. So this is the laundromat right next over to that Chinese store. This is little bro. Ooh, ooh, okay, I apologize. Next shift in my photography came. Again, I started thinking about different aesthetics that I could try to pull off. And at this time, my aesthetic was definitely trying to capture like an old like 70s, 80s vibe. So this is where my mindset was. Again, this is me working with what I got. That was definitely into thrifting. So definitely got some records together. That is just uh, a blanket I use. It's not even a carpet, but just a blanket capturing patterns and colors. That's again my focus. Um, and then capturing Ashley. I really like this photo just because like this wasn't actually how I captured it. I believe I captured it horizontally. Um, it was in the edit that I was able to shape it like this. Um, I don't know. I just felt like shaping it like this made it more dynamic. Shooting it vertically or twisting it vertically. Um, that's still one of my favorite shots. And then keeping very much within the city. This was Pete's Steakhouse. Again, I believe this is right on Olden. Um, and that steakhouse is already has like a very vintage 50s, 60s vibe. So again, with the old vibes I was going with, still very much working with colors, still very much working with patterns, still thrifting my outfits because uh, didn't really have a stylist. So was buying clothes. It's still one of my favorite jean jackets I put on her. Um, Fitting the motif. Uh, Also, I started playing with my editing. This is where my editing started getting more a little surreal, I guess. Um, I definitely wanted to incorporate the grunge that I was into. Like I'm definitely into like Quentin Tarantino films, grindhouse films, and I sort of wanted to bring that type of edge to my photography, that like grit. And this is inside of it. Um, Very appreciative to Pete's Steakhouse. They were about to close, and a lot of the restaurants that you actually see me shooting, these are just random places that I went to, and I talked to the manager. It's like, hey, would you mind me doing photography in here? So you will see a lot of restaurants. Again, very much Dahlia. She was here earlier. We saw her earlier in the photography photo. Um, Very much still keeping with a 70s vibe. This is out in Moody Park, um, going off of colors. This shoot, I actually did have a stylist. Her name is Nigeria Ware. She really hooked me up as far as like really matching the tones um, and giving me that vibe, especially with the Converse, the short shorts. Yeah, I was really appreciative with the help that came out with this idea. And we also had another outfit. Um, and this is just capturing downtown, just walking in back alleys. We found one of those fire escapes and just the color as well as the rust and then the tone of the building just all matched what I was going for. And sometimes that was one of the best things when it came to like photography and shooting downtown. It's just that there's so many different spots with so many different types of colors that I could use as like a background. I mean, a backdrop, or start working with just different palettes. And this is also right behind it as well. Again, very much in the motif of these 70s vibes. Again, playing with lighting, I had gotten, this is my first time working with gels. I was using orange gels on just some regular $60 lights I got off of Amazon. A friend of mine had his uncle give him like a whole bunch of like old ebony like porno mags. So I definitely use that as the aesthetic and also as sort of like a mood board in and of itself. Definitely was playing with colors, definitely playing with the shadows, definitely playing with the warmth. The focus always colors, still capturing faces, and moving with the theme. Same thing here. One of my favorite shots from the shoot. Not styled by anybody. This is just, again, me reflecting. I wanted something golden. I wanted a lot of gold. I wanted it to be gaudy. I told her to wear as many rings, as many chains as possible, accessories, capturing that like 70s pimpin' vibe, as well as like with the fur and the red. This came out so well. I'm so happy with the shoot. And then this is actually one of the furthest shoots out of what I've shown so far. This is in South Jersey. I have never seen a restaurant like this, like so vintage with everything in it. This is a singer out here. Her name is Sunny. And again, very much capturing tones, these bright, warm colors, these 70s vibes, these 50s, 70s aesthetic. I was very much about this in this time. And this is just another one of the shots. Again, I don't think I've released any of this one, but still very much in capturing faces, the eyes that she was giving me in this shot. I really like this. Boom. All right. So this part was like a weird point in my life. I was very much into dark shit. I think I was at a dark point in my life, and I actually wanted my photography to express that in the subtlest of ways. I don't think you would really know unless you're like looking at the photography shots back to back, but I was into shooting at night, really low light, capturing whatever light I could find in the dark. That was the whole period of this time period, like just focused in the dark. This is right outside of, what is it? It's a chicken spot. Holiday Chicken? I believe this is Holiday Chicken. No, George's Chicken. I apologize. George's Fried Chicken, right down Parkway, behind Parkway School. And hold on. Yeah, right here inside. Still very much, I was so much into capturing colors. She had the hat. She was in blonde hair. She pulled off the blonde wig. Told her to come pattern if she could. She did with the t-shirt. Was hoping for more, but still worked in the aesthetic. I really like this just because of I wanted these hood aesthetics. I want these hood aesthetics in my photography. I want my photography to be black as hell. So this is definitely part of the aesthetic. Also shooting in a Chinese spot up here, right in Ewing, actually like right next to Pete's Steakhouse. This is the Chinese spot. Really chose this spot because of this big ass mirror that they have on the wall. I really like how it would bounce off colors, the neon lights off of the windows, and just create these light streaks throughout the image. I just wanted to capture again, like I wanted to get more cinematic with my photography. Uh, this was this was still very much shooting at night, but I wanted to still keep that surrealness, still keep that like, you know, otherworldliness into the photography. Um, Told her the same thing. I told her to come gaudy. I told her to come in gold, um, to feel baller, but like I'm flipping the aesthetic because you're not in like a baller ass place. You're in a Chinese spot eating noodles, but the aesthetic is still there. The lighting. Um, yeah, this was very much my focus. This is Essence. She's a singer from out here. Um, yeah, very much capturing the city at night. That was my whole mindset during this time of my photography. Um, I don't believe this is when I started actually working with a full frame. Um, all these shots at night, these were me actually working with a full frame. I had the 6D then. Um, so everything as far as like my Uber X photos was shot on my Canon Rebel, but this is actually when I made the shift to full frame. Um, but then also in challenging myself, I went back to my Rebel and I shot this. This is again Jada. You're gonna see her face one more time, but working that night off the 50 mil, this is, to me, this was back to basics. Because again, the period of my time, I feel the period of my life right then, I think was really like dark. So like I really wanted to get back to basics in my life and then through my photography. So working with someone who I've always been working with and experimenting with, as well as just playing with my old camera, my old lens at night, playing off of shadows. Um, this is Downtown Rooftops.
Hey, Shamir,
Yes.
we're gonna running into a little bit of time.
Okay.
And what we can do is, at the end, we can always continue the conversation. You can show more work. We're gonna, I think we have to leave a little time for Zakiya to show.
Okay.
Thank you. And it's, of course,
Yeah.
fantastic. Thank you.
Mic check. Can you guys hear me? You guys can hear me?
Yes. Yes.
I was gonna cut in, Shamir, to let you know at the time. It's kind of overlapping, but what we usually do is become a tradition after hours. I want to see more of your work and I want to hear more of your creative process. So just stick around later on. I want to see more of your stuff. You know, I'm definitely a fan of your work. And Miss Woods, would you come to the table, please? Show me that Brooklyn style. I'm so excited for both of you guys. I'm sorry, a little tardiness, but let's roll right into it. Like I said, guys, afterwards, I wish this could be longer than what it is, but afterwards, we're gonna do a little after hours like we usually do, and we're gonna have a big chat. So you guys, let's go into it. Miss Woods, please.
Hello. Okay, so let me get to my screen. Hold on. If I can find it. Oh, wait, hold on. Dang it. We went over this. Okay, so before I start sharing my screen, my name is Zakiyyah Woods. I am from Brooklyn, New York. I like to affectionately say a second generation Bed-Stuy native. But so I got into photography when I was maybe in middle school, when I was like 12, 13 years old. But I've always loved photography. Probably before then, here at the house, we've always had a big cabinet. Well, not that big, but a cabinet full of family photos, photo albums, loose photos. And I would constantly go in those photos, just enjoying the memories of people that I've never met, people who have passed on, and just enjoying seeing my grandmother and her cousins and everyone just having fun. So just seeing that Black joy and, them enjoying themselves considering, you know, everything else that was going on. And so I eventually took to it on my own with my own camera. Yeah, so when I got to college, I majored in mass communications, journalism. So I've always been a storyteller, always been a writer, whether it's telling stories through pictures or in written form. I'm always a person that needs to show what's happening, what's going on. And then after college, and I'm going to try to be quick with this, after college, had my son and had to go into the regular workforce and had to stop doing photography. So fast forward to the pandemic, lost my job and had nothing but time and opportunity, and got tired of saying, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So I just said F it and decided to pursue photography full time. So my presentation is pretty much a showing of my reintroduction to photography. It's always been in me, but this is pretty much what it's been like for me for the past year, through the pandemic, through protests, through a little bit of everything. So let me find my screen that I'm going to share. No, that's not it. Hold on one second. Okay. So this is my self-portrait, and I hope everybody can see the screen. It just kind of.
We can see it, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is my self-portrait, if you will. It's pretty self-explanatory. So this was at the beginning of me going back out with my camera. You can see the healthcare worker, you can see the homeless person on the ground, and then the guy walking. And this was pretty much a everyday activity happening in New York City. The writing, hold on one second. My father just came in with his computer. But
this is what I'm seeing.
Apple, please stop. Sorry, that's my father.
Real quick, I'm not sure. I see the file, but I don't see the image itself. If you could double click so we could see the image. I'm not sure if anybody else is seeing this. And hey, Dad.
Okay,
So I think what we're seeing is you share the window, but then you open the image.
Okay, hold on
Yes.
one
Maybe you
second.
could share to make the window nice and big and just share the whole desktop, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I did. Okay, sorry. That's what he came in to tell me that he's. All right, hold on. Share screen.
Take your time.
Okay, here we go. There we go. You guys see that?
Hey.
Yes.
Okay. So again, so yes, that's the healthcare worker and the homeless person on the ground, and the Fuck 12. That was like a nice summary of the start of the summer of last year. Let's see. So a little bit more COVID. New York City trains pretty much never get cleaned. So obviously it took for a pandemic for us to get our subways cleaned. So this image, I just was on the train coming back from Queens, and so this gentleman just sanitizing. And you know, as a street photographer, anything that makes you do a double take, you just kind of have to snap it in that moment before it's gone. This image here, we were in the city walking around. This was after the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, and the break in the food with the Lysol sprays. That was just very COVID. It's no other way to put it. And then again, with the protests and everything, this was one of my favorite images from last summer. This was shot with my iPhone. I was on a run, and there was a march about to take place, and I saw this lady standing there with that umbrella, and I asked her if I can capture this picture, and she said yeah. So that was that. But it's the favorite one because it has all of the names, or a lot of names rather, of those we've lost to police brutality and violence. And then this is my nephew on his way to his 5th grade walkthrough. As you know, all graduations was canceled No one could do any kind of celebrating. So my sister got him a graduation hat and we were just on the bus headed to celebrate my nephew going into middle school. So this image here, last summer, I met a gentleman who's currently running for Brooklyn Borough President, Zakiyyah Woods, and I got to document a bunch of COVID testing, and we did the, what's it called, the census and such. So these are some of the images from that. We were in a community, as you can see, a lot of the men, well, all of these men here, they're Muslim. And one thing about this particular event, there was like a language barrier for a lot of the gentlemen willing to do the COVID test. And so because of that, I eventually had to stop taking pictures and step in to help fill out forms and make sure everyone had the information written down correctly. So sometimes, you know, you gotta be able to juggle the two. This is a COVID test in process or in progress. A lot of people choose not to do it because it's uncomfortable. And I will agree, yes, it's uncomfortable, but anything for the safety of your community, you know. Again, and you can see the gentleman in the background of this image here. He's looking. A lot of people did not like to see it, but again, it is what it is. More COVID related images. This lady here with her gear on, her mask, her face shield, her gloves, and her friend or husband that was with her. This one was shot as I was about to cross the street. I kind of just looked to my left and seen them standing there. So I grabbed my camera, which is usually always around my neck if you see me, and I shot this. So it's, you know, if you think about composition with his book bag cut off and everything, and to get into the technical side of it, then yeah, some people would kind of have things to nitpick about, but again, it just tells the story of our times, which is why I like it. And this one here, also too, from Thanksgiving, the headless turkey with the cops blocking. As you all know, we didn't have a parade this year, or last year rather, so it was kind of a good summary for the year we had last year. And so, but considering everything that we went through, we've all managed to continue to find joy and celebration. This was in Brooklyn. These kids were having a dance battle and the girls were hyping them up in true Brooklyn form. This is one of my favorite images also. This little girl, she was jumping rope and everyone else around was cheering her on and such. She had about 5 tries and everyone, you know, was giving her love and stuff. So that was always a good thing to see. And this is the same event, this young girl, well, it was 2 little girls checking out the free books, and the older lady with the signs up, letting them know that they could come. It was a nice, endearing moment from an older Black woman to the younger Black girls checking out the books and such on the table in Brooklyn. This is again, Brooklyn. A lot of my images, I gravitate towards compassionate imaging and images that just shows us outside of what people think about our community. So yeah. And again, more from this image. Regardless of the pandemic, like I said, we all managed to find some type of joy and comfort amongst each other, distancing or wearing masks and not distancing that much or as much as we should. And again, this is during a protest. This mom, she was speaking and her little girl kept either tugging at the string from the megaphone and trying to grab her attention and such. And so, yeah, that was a really, really sweet moment because it shows multitasking that most of us have to do, especially if we're parents. This is from another protest. This gentleman, he's on top of the car, and you know, we were out front of the New York Times during the End SARS protest, and of caught him up there. He has his phone in his hand, so he's documenting as well. He's documenting him. So it's a lot of documentation happening here, but yeah. And I like to call this one business as usual. Again, this is Brooklyn. The gentleman at the gate, he was opening the shop, but you can see the ACAB on the gate. And if you know what that means from the protests, it means all cops are bastards. But you know, we're still in our communities and still pushing through regardless of what we have going on. And this is another business as usual shop. This woman here, I was in Manhattan, and she stopped at the light. She was walking in the street. She stopped at the light as the cars did, and I looked literally again to my left and seen her, and me with my camera was able to capture this image as well. So this one here is my friend's son. I took a break during the election time and went ahead to California, and my friend's husband, he's a barber, and I just documented him giving their oldest son a haircut. So I thought this image was really, really dope. A lot of my images I like to leave in black and white, but this one here, I enjoyed it because it shows the richness of his skin tone and the colors of his dad's shirt and the clippers. It's just very, very strong in its color. But then I also have this one here where I went down to Abolition Park, and the gentleman was giving free haircuts. So again, this one is in color as well, and to show the richness of that deep chocolate brown skin. I like this image because it shows the compassion between the two. Even in that moment of getting your haircut, there's still bonding that takes place in a barber chair or in a beauty salon. So yeah, this one was also my favorite. And that's Brian again with the little ones. I left this one in black and white just because it's fun to me in black and white. That's their youngest, Yuri, reaching for the clippers. And it's just showing, again, Black fatherhood is just so necessary, and it's there, and a lot of people assume that it's not. So any chance that I'm able to debunk the myth that Black fathers are absent, then I'll definitely do it with my work for sure. And another compassionate image, this elderly couple in Brooklyn. I think she was like putting something in his pocket that they got from the pharmacy. And again, I just gravitate naturally towards moments of compassion. Again, another compassionate image between two men just hugging. This was during a candlelit vigil, and the gentleman that's facing us, he was going down the line, hugging everyone. And when I saw him doing that, I set myself up to capture the moment where he hugged someone. So I'm glad that I got this shot. This one was a favorite as well. And that's my dad. Again, Black fatherhood. He's working from home, struggling like everyone else with working from home, the technological challenges that everyone faced during that time last year. And then here are some images from DC. I'm going to kind of speed through these because I know we're on a time crunch, but this one I found interesting because as we know what happened with the insurrection and the people smashing the media cameras, I like to call this one freedom of the press because of the flag and this media team that was documenting this family during the inaugural events. This is more from DC. This is pretty much what DC looked like, military tanks and Biden-Harris paraphernalia and military photographers. It was more military and media than it was regular spectators. Again, this one here, 1776 spray painted on the wall. We know that that's when the Declaration of Independence went into effect. So it's a very interesting concept with the military state and, you know, that there. This is a church in DC. They have that spray painting on it. And I just find it interesting that it's been left there A lot of times the church likes to remain neutral sometimes, but they left that there. So that said a lot to me, that spoke to me. This one here, it's pretty much what the Capitol has been during the whole process. Well, the whole DC really was on lockdown, but just being at a distance from where history took place, it was just a really, really interesting time. But again, we're still fighting, we're still marching, we're still protesting. We'll be probably doing this for generations to come, but as long as we don't lose steam, then, you know, this is a gentleman during it was a COVID test. And honestly, I don't know why I left this in here, but I liked his look, so I'm going to skip past that. This image was during Christmas time. If you look in the little tiny window, there's a little boy in there, and he was just extremely excited to see Santa Claus. So again, this goes back to having hope and just being in a state of joy, regardless of what happened last year. This image was captured at a toy giveaway again in Brooklyn. I went out with Kerry again while he was on his campaigning for Brooklyn Borough President. So I was able to see a lot of communities that I don't typically see in Brooklyn. So that I'm very, very thankful for. But we like to keep faith in these hard times. So when I passed by this moment in this particular space, people were praying, and I just really remembered that during all of this, people are still holding onto their faith and being mindful to protect Black and brown children and people. This was a street sign in DC. So yeah, they're very, very politically awake, if you will. And then these are some images from the snow we had a few weeks ago. Just New Yorkers being New Yorkers, trudging through regardless. So briefly, I was never into portraits, but I decided I needed to step out on that and get it done to have more skills under my belt. So this was one of the first portraits of someone that I don't know, that I asked him on the streets if I can take his picture, and he agreed. So all of the colors in this image, there was no editing, no Photoshop, no filters, no nothing. This is just how I captured this image. And this is, again, one of my favorites. And so to test out more of my portrait skills, here is my son being my model. This is another image of my son that I captured. He's 13. And I like this because it shows that balance of masculine, but still soft. Just because you're a man, you don't have to be so rough and hard. So all of that allowed me to now enter into this current phase where I'm doing a portrait project on Black social workers and mental health workers who have worked during the COVID-19 pandemic. These people, these professionals, they have been, as I call it, the heroes of the heroes. A lot of the times we were encouraged to see a mental health professional to talk about what's going on. We have people who have been holding down our children, holding down ourselves, our doctors, our nurses, everyone has been leaning into these individuals for their stability, if you will. But they've also had to deal with life as a person, or a Black person rather, during the pandemic and the protests and everything else. And, they've been able to hold us down while maintaining space and creating space for themselves as well. And that's the end of my presentation. That is just a picture of me out and about on the streets. I figured that would be a nice little addition there. So that is all.
Nice job, Zakiya. Thank you so much.
Those are amazing.
Yeah, I really loved hearing the progression of both of you throughout your entire careers in photography, how you started out, where you're at now. I really loved both of your presentations. I do want to say that it's 8 o'clock, but I feel like all of, everyone here is just seeing the comments come through as you were both presenting. I think there's not a person here that doesn't mind staying for a few extra minutes to do some Q&A tonight. Of course, if anyone does have to leave, it's totally fine. We want to thank you again for coming. We do these on the third Thursday of every month. And if you can stay for some Q&A tonight, that would be really fantastic. I know there were a couple comments in here. Michael, you're going to moderate the question. And if anyone else has additional questions, please, you can type them right in, a question for either Shamir or Zakiya, or maybe for both of them.
So we actually don't have a lot of questions, but I just want to get, before people do start disappearing, Heather Palasek is having a show at the JKC Gallery in March 1st to April. And even though the in-person reception bookings are closed, we will have Zoom reception as well to go along with it. So check that out at jkcgallery.online. Okay. So there was one question for Shamir, and that was, what kind of editing tools you use, because I think everybody was reacted very strongly to that what looks like color grading, like film color grading in your work.
So like earlier when we were looking at like my UberX photography, man, it was bad, dude. I was using like VSCO. It was it was rough. It was a while before I finally got upgraded to Lightroom, but like Lightroom is my home. Like playing on that the color curve is where I have the most fun.
So no plugins, you're actually doing that all manually in Lightroom.
Oh yeah, no plugins. That like curve, playing with the shadows, playing with the mids, playing with the high tones.
Save that preset and sell it.
Yeah, right. I got like
sell that preset,
dude. I got like 100. Like but yeah, that's how I make them.
Yeah. There was a question about how to see more of your work, and I think we should just say to see both your work. You are a Kami Daddy Fat Sex with all underscores on Instagram. I bet you love making people say that. And Zakiya, you are lens.on.swivel on Instagram as well. And Lens on Swivel is also your website, right, Zakiya?
Yes, without the dots.
Yeah. Yes. So definitely check out both those sites and everywhere else you can find them. That was actually it on the questions.
Actually, down at the bottom, it looks like Annika says,
oh, there we go. Okay, go ahead.
If Shamir's politics inform his work at all?
Do my politics inform my work at all? Not really. I really wanted to try to make it, and I'm still trying to figure out how to make it. But my politics is very much the work in and of itself. Like, I'm broke, so like working in the city, thrifting clothes, using lighting that I've just managed to buy. That is the politics of my art. It's very much, again, being in the city and being amongst people. So like that's as far as like politically, that's where my art goes.
Zakiya? Politics?
I mean, when you're Black in this world, everything kind of has roots in some type of politics, some type of ism, some type of everything. And I feel like for me, with my work, it doesn't influence my work, but it's hard to not include it, if that makes sense. Just because I'm from Bed-Stuy, I went to a Black college, I went to a Black church, like we're constantly hearing about our life, in the news and outside the news and everything. And so I guess it's like a subtle influence, but it's there, but it's not intentional, but it's a part of our life. So yeah.
Yeah. This question is from iPad. Sorry, I don't see your name. What was a pivotal moment for both of you when you knew that you were meant to be an artist?
This is a tricky question. I've never called myself an artist. Like I'm still struggling with that title. I call myself a creative. So I kind of bounce between an artist being someone who paints or who sculpts and, has like one particular thing that they do. But I feel like for myself, I'm just a creative person. However, whatever goes on inside my head, however I need to get it out. As I mentioned, if I'm writing it or if I decide I want to go to the paint store and get a canvas and some colors and do it that way, or music or what have you. It's just in my blood, I guess. My dad is a musician. His dad was a musician. I come from a long line of creative people. And so it's just in my DNA. So I never thought about it. It just is.
For me, it was sort of, yeah, I mean, I was an artist. To me, since I can remember, I've always drawn, I've always been into art. But as far as like me committing to the name artist, it really just took me committing to my own work, just because like I didn't have like, I wasn't quote unquote professional, like I wasn't shooting in like studios, I wasn't working with like professional models or anything like that. So um it just took me saying like, F it, I am an artist, this is what I do. I really can't do anything or imagine doing anything else. Like there's jobs, but like I don't even want to mix this into calling it work. Like this is just what I do. That's all I could do.
Yeah. From Chris F, if there was one thing you would want your art to stand for, what would it be and why? And I think that goes for both of you. Goes to both of you.
I'd say resiliency. There's just, and regardless of what community you come from, whether you are in a small town, big city, or what have you, we all face issues. We all face conflict. We all have stuff going on. And just the fact that we're all able to continue moving forward with hiccups, road bumps, but definitely resiliency and love in that resiliency, being able to love on each other still, even when the shit hits the fan. Excuse my language. But yeah, just strength. I love strength. I love seeing people grow. I love seeing people loving on each other and being compassionate with each other. And like I said, we see the hard times. It's there, we can't ignore it, but still just the fact that we're able to keep moving regardless.
For me, I would definitely want you to take out just like um so much not like finding art in random places, but more so just like pulling out or out art out of places where like you would have never thought to pull art from. That has literally been like my journey in photography, whether I'm shooting in abandoned places or shooting in a Chinese spot on Hermitage. Like it was very much just finding art in places that you just wouldn't have thought and turning it into something completely different. So like, yeah, that would be my takeaway.
Yeah. From Goal, what's your fear? Difficulty is when you photograph, or what stops you going forward, for both of you.
Being a woman outside as a street photographer, just being a woman outside, period, it's really dangerous, especially I have desires to photograph at night, especially in certain areas, but having to be cautious and just keep my eyes open. You're walking around the streets with a camera around your neck that costs money if you're not using your cell phone. And so because of that, you are almost a target automatically, but then again, as a woman, and then being up close in people's space, that kind of keeps me from doing more with my photography. I don't like to feel like I'm stepping in people's personal space, their bubbles, and stepping on their toes. But I've been watching more documentaries on street photographers who just don't give a damn. So I will start to try to use some of their aggression, I guess, to get the shots that I really, really want to get, but have been kind of pulling myself back. So yeah.
Let me just ask you a quick follow-up on that before. Do you get a lot of men giving you technical advice on how you should be doing things?
No, I
Oh, well,
don't.
that's great.
But if I do take a picture of a man, then I get date offers.
All right.
But outside of that, no, I don't. I know through all of last year, I've met some wonderful photographers, combination of men, women, non-binary, and everyone has been amazing. No one has offered any information that wasn't unwelcomed. And if they did, then it was in a very loving way, in a way that I was able to receive it. So I really am thankful for the little community of photographers that I have under my belt right now.
That's fantastic.
As far as fears, um, physically, I can't do what I used to do as far as like the Uber X. Like, I was really getting up there. Like, I was climbing ladders and shit, and like, I don't have the heart to do that shit no more. Like, it's terrifying, honestly. So when it comes to like fear, I can't do that anymore. But as far as fears, when it comes to like my work and my art, my fear used to really be not being able to capture what I had in my head. Whether it came to like painting or drawing or sculpting, like I always had an image in my head. I was always able to transfer it. So I used to have a fear with not being able to transfer that with my photography, or if the shoot started and like I'm not getting the images that I wanted. But even then, like I learned to sort of get over that fear, just because like I owe myself making bad art. Like I'm going to make bad art. I'm going to make bad art in my future, and like I owe that to myself to make some shitty art. So like I look forward to it now.
This is from Tamara Torres. Hi, Tamara. Given what you've shown us, could you talk about the challenges or the rewards of photographing people you know versus what you know well, versus like family versus people you just encounter on the street during the pandemic? That's for Zakiya.
Yeah, so photographing family, it's slightly easier. My dad, my sister, they're kind of all comfortable with me having my camera in their face. They kind of just shrug it off. So it's teaching me how to give direction to my subjects or my models, without being so aggressive. I'm not really big or good at photo directing. And so it's kind of allowing me to dust off, I guess, cobwebs or what have you with that. Um, so it's fine. It's helping me to fine tune being able to approach strangers or even working with strangers, because I've had some clients in the past that have reached out to me to photograph their baby, their families. I didn't show any of those on the presentation, but just being able to not be so nervous around them and just getting comfortable with people and such, since I'm not big on portraits still yet, but it's getting there, as well as with my social workers project. It's allowed me to be more comfortable with, again, giving those directions. So yeah, shout out to my family.
So I'm sorry, I missed this. Is it Chloe or Chloe? What advice would either of you give to beginner photographers? Always a good question.
Just shoot, just keep shooting. In the beginning, if you don't know yet what you like to photograph, then just photograph everything that you see that you like. And then over time, you may start to shift into a particular type of photography, whether it be nature or architecture or landscapes or portraits or what have you, street style. Just have your camera with you everywhere you go and just open yourself up and learn, study other photographers, study the techniques. It's just a lot of learning. Never stop learning your craft.
Yeah, very much the same advice. I would say, like, just don't stop shooting. And like going back with the last question, like, don't be scared. Um, don't be afraid to make bad art, or like think like your first shoot or whatever you make is going to be like it. You know what I mean? And like study your work as much as you study like other photographers. Um, like look at your own images. Um, what did you like? And like, what did you like? I think that's the main thing, because you'll hear a lot of voices. A lot of people will be like, oh, I like this one more, but you like that one. Like stick to what you like and be firm in it.
Yeah, so that is it for our questions. I'll throw it to Habib and Heather to close us out.
I was over here taking down notes as far as beginner photography, some shit I need to do. Shoot more. Thank you guys so much. Shamir, here, you guys, I could go on and on. You guys inspire me daily. So happy that you guys were here tonight. Heather, you have anything you want to say?
Just like endless thanks being a photographer on our show tonight. You guys did amazing. I'm also feeling very inspired. I loved your presentations. You did a fantastic job. So thank you so much for coming, for being a part of it.
All right, and thank you to everyone who attended and our guests and Heather and Habib, and we will see you again in March.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, have a good night, everyone.
You guys, before you guys go, you have anything you want to plug? Anything, any projects, anything that you have coming up?
My social work project, if you yourself or you know of any social workers, Black social workers, Black mental health workers who have worked during the pandemic, please send them my way. I am available, camera ready, recorder ready, and I want to tell as many of these stories as humanly possible, because they get such a bad rap. As social workers, people assume the worst about social workers, and that's not necessarily the case. Well, not the case at all, rather. So yeah, send them my way. And someone in the comment asked about a print. You can contact me through my Instagram or my email or so, and I'll definitely send that your way. So
When the money reside, when the money reside. Samir, what about you, brother? You got anything going on? Any future projects? Drop your Instagram, anything like that? Get them prints going.
I mean, y'all already know the Instagram. Working on getting an art show. Don't know how that's working with COVID, but when it happens, I will let y'all know. But as far as projects, I am working on the Polaroid series. So that was something I couldn't really include in here. But if you guys want to get in on the Polaroid series, this is an open invite, buy some Polaroid film at Target and hit me up, and like, let's get your face in there. Yeah.
All right. Somebody is asking about the Instagrams. Definitely just visit jkcgallery.online, and we have their Instagrams listed there under direct links to them under the show link. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone. Have a good night.
good night.
Night.